Welcome, seekers of truth and wisdom, to Soul Wisdom Transitions, where we embrace the magical dance between the mind, body, and spirit. This sacred space is dedicated to guiding you on a soulful journey of self-discovery, personal growth, and spiritual awakening. Get ready to harness the power within as we embark on a transformational odyssey towards a more enlightened and fulfilling experience. Open your hearts and minds, for the wisdom of the soul awaits. Let's the transition begin. Hi, I'm Terry, your soul wisdom guide, scripting your next chapter coach, and a certified Canfield trainer. The stories we tell ourselves have defined who we are and, more importantly, who we are not. My most recent book, Finding True Purpose, is the journey I've taken and how I was able to unravel my messages that I've received over the course of my lifetime that were keeping me small and unfulfilled. I've gone from corporate jets and top-of-the-castle lifestyle at the Walt Disney Company to a 6-acre ranch and a herd of horses in Sedalia, Colorado. I'm an award-winning author and a sought-after speaker, despite being a traumatic brain injury survivor and a 28-year sober recovering alcoholic. My expertise is overcoming the obstacles and unraveling the stories that keep my clients from living their best, most successful life. By partnering together, we get to the root of what's currently holding you back from being your most awesome self and gives you the tools you need to stride with confidence into the future you dream of. I call myself a scripting your next chapter coach. We all grow up hearing messages that block the essence of who we truly are. Beginning early in my life journey, I received messages that told me I would always be second best, not good enough, and the only way I could have friends was to buy my way into a community. During my traumatic brain injury recovery process, I had an epiphany connecting me to my soul wisdom, and I began to unravel those messages. As I said, I'm an award-winning author, a sought-after speaker, and an expert in partnering with my clients to help you explore your own life messages. Self-narratives influence our thoughts and emotions and actions. As we grow up, we get these messages that inadvertently stay with us. It could be when you were 6 and, your mother said that you don't know how to dress yourself, so you take the message that you have no fashion sense, even if you are, in your 20s and 30s. This still resonates with us as we go through life. And what I have found is frequently, instead of responding to a situation because of these messages that we tell ourselves, we automatically react. And that reaction is what keeps us from living our best lives. So what we're going to do is explore what the reaction is, and some people call them triggers. It could be anything. It's something different for everyone. But, you might be in a networking group and, again, someone says to you, oh, well, Jennifer, that's an interesting color choice, the blouse that you're wearing. Now, the person giving that comment didn't mean anything negative by it. She just said it was an interesting color choice. But because of the story that you're telling yourself from that message you received from your mom when you were 6, you immediately go to, oh my God, I knew I shouldn't have worn this. This looks terrible. Everyone is going to be commenting on how awful, I can't even dress myself. And it keeps you from just being in the moment, and just instead of, we automatically react. So if you're aware of what the story is, what you can do is like, okay, I can feel myself reacting. I'm going to take a breath and say, thanks, Terry. It was a color choice that just came to me this morning. And just move on. So you get better at it as it gets easier to recognize what those triggers are for each one of us. And these self-narratives really influence how we go through our day-to-day lives. Um, they keep us, the stories that we tell ourselves from the messages that we've received really keep us from being our best self, and the reactions we have are usually over the top and, totally out of proportion to whatever comment was made. But it's because of the stories that we tell ourselves. And it could be, you're having trouble with your teenage son, and you're battling with your ex-wife or husband or partner, and your partner knows what your buttons are. So, he can say to you, "Oh my God, you're a terrible mother. I'm going to take him for the weekend because you're just doing an awful job." And the message you tell yourself is, "He knows I'm a terrible mother. I can't believe it. I've tried my best, and things are not working out." And it's all because of the messages that we're telling ourselves. Instead of saying, "What my teenage son decided to do is really completely out of my control. So what message can I give my teenage son that will have a positive influence on him as he grows up?" So you can say, "Okay, Logan, can you help me understand where that's coming from? What made you think that was a good choice? This is, you're not calling anything out. There's no judgment. You're just asking for some clarity. Help me understand your thought process. You didn't tell him he was terrible. He was wrong. It was, how could you be so stupid? Just help me understand your thought process." It's like, okay, just get curious. Get curious. So, one of the best examples that I can say is a client that I was working with, Claire. She acknowledged that she always got triggered when she was talking with her older sister. Whenever they spoke, Claire knew she would walk away from the conversation angry, annoyed, pissed off, and sometimes all three. Recent conversations were usually about the care of their aging parents. She realized that no matter what her opinion was going to be or suggestion was concerning the care, even if she was offering up something that would take the burden off of her sister, Claire always felt dismissed, unheard, not valid. By exploring the first time Claire could remember feeling that way, she discovered a time when she was about 10 and she was yelled at by her mom in front of her siblings, and her mom said she had no idea what she was talking about, would never be smart enough to offer a good solution to the problem, and I'm paraphrasing here. Claire's siblings picked up on that, and over the years, Claire would get the same messages from each of them. That, her opinions or suggestions were not worth listening to. Even mom said that we don't have, you don't know what you're talking about. So every time she offered up a valid point to her sister in recent conversations, she knew it would not be accepted or confirmed. She regressed to that 10-year-old and automatically reacted to the present day situation with her sister. By working together, I helped Claire understand the story and be aware of when the reaction started so that she could cut it off and she could choose to respond differently. Now, it didn't happen immediately, but the more she became aware of it, the sooner she could change her reaction into a response, and she could work with her sister and not take everything so personally. So today she has a much better relationship with her sister, and they're working together to provide the best care for their parents as they can. So what I invite you to do is just think about what the stories are that you're telling yourself that are keeping you from being your best self. And you're not going to change your reaction in the moment. That comes with practice. As I said, you can read my book, Finding True Purpose, and read about the messages that I received over the course of my lifetime. And I still get triggered. But now, as soon as I feel the trigger happening, and it is a certain feeling, as I feel that, that trigger starting, I can just take a step back, take a breath, and say, okay, here I go again, telling myself the same story. And you know what? I've contacted and I've connected with my soul purpose, and that story is not true. That story is so not true. I can let it go. So think about those stories that you've been told and you've heard over and over and over again. And the importance is begin to be aware of the stories, and once you're out of the situation and you can think about it, try to reframe the story. Go back in time, find out what the true message was. In the heat of the moment, your mom, who was doing the best she could and is certainly not intentionally giving you a message that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life. Get curious as to what mom was going through. What was going on that she just had to lash out? It probably had nothing to do with you. But you take these messages and we hold on to them because this is what we were told. Look at them, journal about them. If you're anyone who journals, I journal every day. Sometimes it's nonsense and sometimes it's incredibly profound. But just take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and connect with that little voice inside of you that we don't give enough attention to. And my bet is that little voice is saying, the story is not true. So my story of not being good enough and having to buy my way into community is not true. I can't tell you how many certifications I've acquired over the course of my many years, that it was a thought that I needed to stay in this new certificate community by continuing to buy their upgrades. But it still had nothing to do with a true relationship connection. And the last time it happened, I was able to take a moment, feel the reaction coming up, and just say to myself, I don't need to buy this. I don't need to spend another $12,000 to continue in this program. Any information that I needed, I already have. And it's time to work on true relationships. Now, I'm talking personally here. This is my stuff, may not be yours, and that's okay. But think about it. What is the story that you're telling yourself? Is it something to do with success? Is you really, really want to be successful as an entrepreneur, and yet it always seems to be out of reach, and there always something happens. And is it self-sabotage because you're afraid of success? You're really concerned about and scared about being in the spotlight. Connect with your soul purpose. Take a moment, take a deep breath, connect with your soul purpose, and we'll get into how to do that more in upcoming episodes. But you truly do know what's best for yourself. And if you listen to the voice, that little voice that we don't give enough attention to, listen to that voice. And again, that little voice is saying, the story you're listening to is not true. And give that some thought. Just be curious. Don't be judgmental. I mean, we all have dents, dings, broken pieces, and that's what makes life so interesting. Be curious. Where did that story start? What was going on? Now, if you ask a sibling, they might have a completely different perspective of what the story is. I know one of the stories when I was writing my book, my sister said to me, she called me up after she read it, and she said, "Did we grow up in the same household?" Because her perspective is different than mine. What I heard was not what she heard. The messages I received were not the messages that she received. So just be curious about your messages and what's going on there. So once you know what your story is, that's when you can start unraveling it. And unraveling is what we need to do, because that story is not serving you. It's keeping you from being your best self and living your best life. And another thing I ask you to be aware of is when you're dealing with our younglings, toddlers, young children, your own nieces, nephews, whatever, grandkids, just be aware of what you tell them, because you are writing on their slate. And those messages are what they will take with them as they grow up. So instead of, oh my God, you made a mess and we're supposed to leave and I have to change you and you're so stupid, I can't believe you did that. All they hear is, I'm so stupid, I'm so stupid. Instead of saying, wow, what a mess you made. Well, we don't have time to clean it up now. Come on, let's go change. And that was really interesting, but we're going to have to clean this up when we get home. So they know they did something wrong, but you didn't write on their slate a message that they're going to carry with them of, I'm so stupid. So be aware of what you talk to your kids about. And instead of being judgmental, be curious. And just say, hey, help mom understand what your thought process was to make that decision. Now, as many of you know and are well aware, you're probably not going to get a great answer from a teenager. That's okay. Just be curious. Just, all right, you're grounded, whatever, punishment you have, but we're going to talk about this, and I'm just curious as to what made you think this was okay. And that's a much better message that you can give them than something negative that they're going to take with them. So, remember, as you navigate the twists and turns of life transitions, just trust in the wisdom of your soul. Listen to that inner voice when you can. It will get louder. It might be really hard to find right now, but that's okay. Just get quiet and try to listen. Embrace the lessons that we've learned, honor the growth, and always remain open to the guidance that comes your way. This is something that I'm trying to provide you here, is a little bit of guidance. And until we reconvene for our next soul-stirring conversation, may you continue to blossom into the highest version of yourself. embrace the beauty of your journey, and always be guided by the whispers of your soul. Thank you.